This is Chuck from Jockey and Machine. We're going to do a tutorial on how to rebuild your front master cylinder. This is a Nissan front master cylinder off of a 2009 ZX6R. I'm going to show you how to break it down, how to clean it, and then how to rebuild it. So this is your front master cylinder. It has the mounts here for your bars, and then your post for your lever that would come around sort of like that, right? So you'd be operating it from this angle. Typically what happens is your reservoir is sitting up on top like that. What we did was we broke that off, took it off using the pliers. So first things first, let's dismantle this whole thing. So your reservoir feed comes in from the top, usually has a nice little nozzle on it like that. There is a rubber grommet that's on the top like that. Go ahead and swivel that around, and inside there is a clip. Not sure if you can see that. So there's a clip inside there, which you will be using a circle clip pliers. So reach in there, get in those little holes, squeeze it together, and you should be able to get at least one side out. It can be a little tricky sometimes. And there you go. So we were able to pull out that circle clip. What I generally do is I just leave it on the nozzle there. Now you should be able to just pop off the nozzle. Be careful, because inside here there's usually an O-ring like that one. I've already broken this down once before, so you're going to see that this is fairly clean. A lot of times on these things that you get off of eBay or something like that, this is going to be extremely gunked up and dirty with old brake fluid. So in which case you're just going to use a normal brake cleaner and solvent in order to get in there, clean everything out with a Q-tip, and you're set to go. Now, on this side is your plunger. This is what you're going to see a little rounded tab with a post coming out. That's what goes into your lever and pushes this plunger in and out in order to then draw in fluid and push it into your brake system. So same thing. We have a circle clip inside here. We're going to go in and do the same thing, and we pop that out. Now, typically, usually a good idea to wear eye protection, because sometimes these suckers come flying out depending on how much pressure is on this plunger. So, make sure, I like to keep everything orderly in a pan. Notice how this did not get away from me. So, keep everything has its place. From here, we will pull this out. This plunger has a curved, concave side. This is where your post goes into, and you can put some grease in there when you go to do the rebuild, so that way you get less friction. It's going to have two, what basically look like oil gaskets, one here in the front and one here in the back. The rebuild kit will come with new ones as well as a new plunger. So you can either reuse this one, save the one out of the kit, or you can just toss it and use the new stuff. So again, the other pieces in here is there's going to be a spring with a pin that anchors to the back of the housing. This spring then also keeps tension on the plunger, allows you to keep going in and out with it. So all this stuff comes in the rebuild kit. You can either reuse it or toss it. But now inside here, inside this cavity, you want to get in there, you want to clean all that stuff out. Sometimes over time, you're going to get very large pieces of what looks almost like grease. The brake fluid turns to grease, so it can gunk up your system, clog things up. So make sure you get in there with a Q-tip, clean everything out really well with brake cleaner. So that's basically it. What I also like to do is take off these bleed nozzles that you use in order to bleed the brakes. I like to get inside there and also clean that out really well. So basically what you got now is just a housing. There's nothing in there anymore. I always cap off my feeds so that I know nothing's gotten in there, and so when I go to hook up the brakes, nothing gets into my system. Safety first. So this is the breakdown. I will now go break open the kit, and I'll show you what's in the kit and how to reassemble. Thanks. All right, so we got our kit from Bike Crafters. Let's go through what exactly is in here. We got some red rubber grease. This is used, it's a plant-based product, and it basically provides lubrication and prevents swelling and hardening of the rubber hydraulic components. We got our new copper washers for the banjo bolt. The new peg with the rounded end that is the actuator for the plunger. Dust cover that goes over top of that. We got our new valve with rubbers already on it. I put these on earlier just because they do take some time to make sure that you don't rip them and tear them as you put them on, but basically you're just going to go about doing them in the same way as the old one. New spring. I don't even know what this part's called. I think it's like a pin of some sort. If you're into AR-15s, it looks like a firing pin. And then new circle clip. So that's what comes in the kit. So the first thing to assemble is going to be your plunger with the seals. So you use your red grease on the rubbers. Again, being very sparing with it. Basically all this is to just barely lubricate it so that when it's actually being actuated again within the housing, it's not going to get harmed in any way on a dry surface. So that's pretty much that side. All you're doing is putting them on there. They're two different sizes. The one to the rear actually has like little slits in it, depressions, so you know that that goes on the back side, but basically just making them look the same. And as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see it, this is the old one, is definitely pitted. I don't know if that's from the fluid or what, but it has a lot of wear on it all around. A lot of dirtiness, it's pitted, stuff like that. The new one's very clean and should work very well for us. All right, so we'll start assembly here. So open up our grease and we'll start on the plunger side. So I'm going to just, again, very sparingly lubricate these things up. Now you want to make sure it's a very small amount of grease, because this grease, if you glob it on, could end up getting into your return valve and blocking any of the brake fluid going in. All right, so we got that one ready. What I'm gonna do is you throw your spring onto the pin. This then goes into the back of the housing, into the depression, and of course, because it's so clean, it is falling right out. So I'm going to put that right in the back, and sometimes you have to use some feel to it. And if you hold it like this, it'll stand straight up inside there, and then we can get the spring inside of the plunger like that, and you'll hear it set in place, and we can actually actuate it with our thumb a little bit. All right, so now I'm gonna get my circle clip pliers ready, We are going to push this down all the way. And set the clip into place, which can be trickier. Sometimes you need a little help to set it. Make sure it's in the groove all the way around and that it's seated properly, otherwise this is going to cause you grief later. I think we got it. So I'm going to use my little dulled point pick tool here, make sure it's all situated, push the plunger in a little bit. You can make sure that all the pressure is off of the ring. It's sitting where it should. And it just made a little click noise, so I think we are in. So we are all back together again. So now you got your little dust cover here. I'm going to put a little bit of red rubber grease on that on the inside. It'll help us seat it as well as protect it from any burn that might happen. So this is gonna, oh, almost forgot this. We're going to put some grease in the little channel on our plug there. Dust cover is going to fit over top of it. And dust cover is going to sit right in that groove. So now we can take this, put it in there. You can use a small screwdriver or dulled pick tool to make sure the dust cover is set correctly. There's no groove or anything, just making sure it's pushed in there nice, and there you go. And it's all back to normal. All right, now let's reset. After cleaning the top here, I actually did find that the return valve, the little tiny hole in there, was actually gunked up when I was cleaning it, so made sure to get in there with some nice long Q-tips and clean all that out, let it dry really well. So first things first, I'm going to clean off the old O-ring. Give it a little bit of the grease. I'm going to set that in there. Make sure it sits on the shoulder. And now we're going to put the reservoir nozzle back in there. Push it down all the way. And our clip, circle clip, is still on there. And same thing we do with the plunger. Get down that groove. Make sure it snaps into place and everything's in there. And then I'm just going to push this grommet and dust cover back on top. So there we go. Simple as that. Putting together this rebuild kit. So now what I'm going to do is I will go back to putting my reservoir back on the top along with the bracket and the bleed nozzle. Put all that stuff back on here, which is real simple, and we'll put it back on the bike and we're done. So that is a quick and easy rebuild of a Nissan dual caliper master cylinder off of a 2009 ZX6 Kawasaki.